reflection, and we've spent, now it's 99% on our capital expenditure. So those are the things that I just want to highlight, but in terms of the continued work that we are doing to improve the audit outcomes, we do have an executive audit tracking committee that is chaired by myself, composed of all the members of the mayoral committee. We do have a consequence management committee also chaired by myself, with the deputy executive mayor as well as the MMC for corporate and shared services, where we follow up on issues that have been raised by the AG. And it's not all 100% as yet. The progress has been made, but those are some of the efforts that I wanted to highlight. But I would like to give to maybe the accounting officer for his reflection, Chair, if that's allowed.
Yes, it's allowed for him to do 2 minutes.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I will be brief. The year prior to this year under review of 23-24 was a particularly traumatic year. That was the year when the city achieved the dubious distinction of getting an adverse opinion for the first time. Based on that, there was a lot of work that had to be done in order to deal with all of the matters that arose out of that findings. We took hands with the AG, and from December of 2022, we have worked with the AG, who took us through the report and made it clear to us where it is that we went wrong. Pointed out the 13 key areas where we picked up major issues. We then set about dealing with those issues during the year 2022-2023. And it was in that year that we then received a qualified audit, and we dealt with about 7 of those items. So there was a lot of hard work. We had to also build the capacity of the municipality. You will see when it comes to the investigations that we did not have the capacity in our internal audit team in order to do all the investigations. So that was a natural cause of it. We had to build that capacity. We also had to build the in-house capacity of management to actually do consequence management there where it happens. That was one of the main reasons why irregular expenditure built up. Because everybody, not everybody, but there was an assumption that the AG would pick these up and then we will deal with it. So we had to deal with those kind of matters and actually train managers. And we have then progressively improved to the 23-24 financial year that we have seen, where we then had 6 matters that was left that we had to deal with. We would then welcome the opportunity to then take you through this report on the basis of the questions that you posed. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. At this point, we shall be doing questions. Let me see the appetite. All right. The full house. You are fine. All right, thank you. All right. Let's have your hand is not up? No. She. Her hand. So we come there. Let's start with you. We'll come from that side and come this way.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the delegation. and greetings. I want to understand what is the strategy or the plan to move from the qualified audit opinion. If you look at the 5-year period, for 2 years in the beginning, there was an unqualified with findings, went bad to an adverse, still bad to qualified. So what are the interventions that are in place to ensure that the situation changes? Number 2, there is an irregular expenditure of about 15 billion. I just want to understand that and the consequence management related to that. Possibly the number of cases that are pursued, whether they are at MPAC or whether they are wherever in terms of the stages, in terms of ensuring that that matter is dealt with. Number 3, some irregular expenditure relates to non-compliance or the issuing of tenders to companies that don't meet the requirements. What are internal control measures to, okay, number 1, what is being done about that? Or it's with the CIU, or SIU or wherever. But number 2, what are internal control measures to prevent future reoccurrence of the same challenge? Let me pause there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Welcome to Tshwane. No, the first question I want to check with Tshwane is, I think two years ago, we were in Tshwane, and some of these issues, we raised them, in particular, the going concern. And at the time, I think when we were there, it was at the time of the adverse findings. And things did not change. The light at the end of the tunnel, we don't see it. Now, you are still qualified as a going concern for categorically clear for the next 4 years. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. What is the plan? But in the main, City of Tshwane is found amongst the municipalities that are incurring a huge loss. Through water, you are losing 1.3 billion. Through electricity, you are losing 2.5 billion. Have you identified these losses? How are we dealing with them? Because this is not the first time. Like I say, 2 years ago we were there. These were there. And in fact, now it's becoming much higher. And also there is this water tanker mafia. What impact does it have with Tshwane, and how are you arresting it? Have you looked into the insourcing of water provision in Tshwane? Should there be water outages or pipe bursting and all of that? There is a serious concern of utilization of consultants ineffectively, to a point where it was raised in the previous year that you've lost more than 200 million to the work of the ineffective consultants, which they are supposed to be assisting the municipality in compilation of financials. It's a shock. Why would Tshwane, of all municipalities, not insource the skill and the qualification of financially aware personnel? Mayor, we have so many graduates in South Africa, and those graduates need to be employed. We cannot outsource financials to people who actually do not assist, because the Auditor General says that all of that service was ineffective. As such, it did not yield any good results for the municipality. Therefore, it's a complete loss that must be recovered. Are we finding this consultant who is incompetent? The person who hired them, what was the scope? What convinced them that they can do anything in the municipality, yet they cannot save us from the mess that we are in terms of financials? And how are we dealing with that space? Are you advertising to get more aware people in the space of finance? The last one is the unfunded budgets that are leading to your unauthorized expenditure, which my colleague spoke to. And the council continues to adopt this unfunded budget because services on the ground are required. But in terms of the law, that's illegal. Even though we go around and go adopt it in the council and make it look legal, it's illegal, it's unconstitutional, because that's more like saying stealing is okay for as long as you can justify it. So how are we dealing with the budgeting process in order for us not to get to a point where we have to go and table unfunded budget to the municipality? Thank you.
Thank you, Kawazala. No, thanks. I'm also having just few couple of short questions. I think one is at 30 June last year, you were owed 28 billion by residences and businesses. And AG further alludes that 72% of this debt is unlikely to be collected. Mayor, how did you arrive at this situation? And what are the plans going forward to make sure that you don't lose this much of money? Two, I just want to check how long the MM has been there, particularly because I see that from 2020 to 2021, you just moved from unqualified to adverse. That's a big jump. I just want to understand what could have been the impact of that. I know the leadership is relatively new in terms of the position that they are in, so that we can understand what happened by those that were there before, particularly because they always claim that they are best governors. I just want to check the vacancy rate vis-a-vis the total percentage of your revenue that you use to pay salaries. Last year, have you paid any performance bonuses for the past 3-4 financial years? Thank you.
Okay, let's get some responses. We'll proceed later.
Thank you so much, honorable members. I will start. With I'm trying to leave the experts to go into detail. I think the first thing that I want to mention is that when we received the audit opinion, there were 5 root causes that the AG said if we can focus on those, it's going to help us to achieve or to improve our audit outcomes. The 5 that we had to deal with is the issue of SOPs that don't exist or didn't exist, the issue of record management, the issue of oversight that is not strengthened in the city. The other 2 were the assets and how we are keeping record of the assets. Yes, and the contingent liabilities. And so as the political leadership from our side, we just had to make sure that we've set up the structures. And hence we do have a functional structures in the sense of the executive audit tracking committee. We've got now the FDB that I would not say that it's 100% functional. I would say that in terms of their performance is still at 60%. And so for us, we've been leading as the leadership, we've been leading the call of organizational culture, to improve the organizational culture. Hence, we take the issues of consequence management very seriously. One of the things that we identified to the honorable member who's asking about the internal capacity, we do have a challenge, and it touches on the vacancy rate that we have in the city, that it kept increasing over the years. That in 2023, 2024, 39% of we had 39% vacancies. And those vacancies were on critical service delivery departments like water, electricity, urban management, finance, legal, and it is across board. But what we've started doing even last year during the adjustment budget, we allocated the resources to just expedite the appointment of the critical vacancies, especially for service delivery, and we're working on that. But we went a step further to adopt it as our principal policy, the issue of internal capacity. Yes, even for finance, there are vacancies that we are filling. And as you say, there's no justification why a metro as big as Tshwane still relies on unreliable service providers. We do have a wide, citywide issue with consultants. If you're looking at our assets under construction, most of the problems that we have is with the consultants. We took a decision 2-3 months ago where even the architectural department, we said we're not going to use consultants on them, that we've got the team that exists, but the acting CFO can also talk about that. The issue of unfunded budget, it's something that I think it became a priority for this financial year. We had to take tough decisions because in terms of our predictions, it was supposed to only start the funded budget only in the next financial year. So we brought it 12 months earlier so that we can have a funded budget for exactly the same reasons that you are mentioning. But I wanted to bring the issue that I was explaining earlier that could be a concern to the committee to say, is this funded status sustainable or not? It is. And for July and for August, our collection rate has really been healthy. And then in terms of the debt owed to municipalities, we have zoned into the wards that don't pay. And there's a silent boycott, or there was a silent boycott by communities that they didn't pay for services. You would have seen the community of Harangua 2 Mondays ago, where one of their grievances was the issue of billing that dates as back as 2017. And so that's one reason. The other reason was the issue of the indigents. The city of Tshwane's threshold was 150,000 on the indigent until this financial year, where in terms of the budget, we increased it to 250,000. Also, the debt increased because we had child-headed households that have not been classified and billed correctly. But also, this part of the silent boycott was that the communities were saying we are billing them based on estimates. One of the priorities was to make sure that every month we have 95%, at least 95% of the bills that are based on actual billing, and we've been doing quite well on average of 94% on that. So what we have done as the council late last year was to propose to council to have a debt relief scheme where we written off for child-headed households, for inactive accounts. For households, we gave them a scheme where we write off if they agree to pay the certain amount. We did the same for business because in our analysis, businesses in Tshwane suffered during COVID, so we extended that scheme to them as well. And so the other one that I know was mentioned even earlier by Premier and MEC Maile and MEC Mamabulo is the debt that we are owed by government. We are winning when it comes to provincial government. There are agreements in place, but national government, we are not winning at all. So that is the other portion that we are owed. The city manager has been in office since August 2022. The last time before then, the last time the city had a permanent or an appointed city manager was 2019. There was a separation agreement with that city manager, and then there was a period of administration where there was Section 139. That team came with a person who was appointed as a city manager. When the administrators left, one of the administrators were left as acting CM until such time that the city manager was appointed in August 2022. I will hand over to CM to continue.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, if I can just start at that last point, because I do think it's a valid consideration. So the outcomes, the adverse opinion of 21-22 then fell on this administration to then deal with. And it was then during that year of 22-23 that we have then I don't want to say the assistance of the AG, because that would not quite be correct to say that, but certainly with the guidance in terms of what to look for, that we have then managed to get an improved audit opinion for that financial year of 22-23, and that was then maintained in the 23-24 financial year. But just for the record, once you step into a job, you also become the father of all of the stepchildren. So that immediately became my responsibility. Then as far as the issue of the irregular expenditure of 15 billion is concerned, the executive mayor did mention that what it is that we did with that, but it was not so easy in the 23-24 financial year, the year that you are looking at, and that was so because we had to build the capacity, as I've indicated, of the internal audit. So we had to get a head of forensics, fraud investigators, etc., which is what we did. And then we had to tackle the investigations relating to about 13 billion rand of irregular expenditure then. And then we then did, and there were then a number of those cases, reports that went through to the impact. But that was not the end of the story, Chairperson, because as you pull a system. Oh.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. But as I indicated, that was not the end of the story, but because we had to build the capacity, and we then managed to finalize a number of cases. They went through the impact, but then, as I've indicated, once you start pulling a system right, then you understand what is the reason why some cases that may have been investigated don't go through council. So we had to fix that as well. So the entire value chain of investigating to impact to council and then back to the city manager in order to execute, that system was broken, and that we had to fix. And that we then managed to fix so that we could get to a scenario where in the past financial year we could investigate to the extent that we have. The process is not complete, but that's what we managed to do. Also, we have identified, just in the past financial year, just to give you an idea, we have identified out of our own about 2 billion rands worth of irregular expenditure. And that and because we have discovered that, we have found that in the process, in other words, there where colleagues have left contracts, for example, to lapse, and then come to you on the basis of urgency. You know, that's the most classic one. That we've identified, we put those into the impact system with the consequences that would meet that, and hence there are a number of investigations and of DCs, recoveries, and in some instances, not in all, but in some instances, criminal referrals, and I think we can make that available if it's not in the spec. I have the numbers here, but it's on my cell phone because I've listened to your previous engagement. So consequence management is being exercised now. I will leave the issues of tenders at the going concern issue. We are a going concern. We also engage not only with the National Treasury, but also with Moody's. In fact, we have just recently appointed Moody's in order for us to improve our economic outlook. So being a going concern or being regarded as a going concern is very important for the city. So we do have that kind of advice to assist us. And we, in fact, then also achieved an improved outlook, economic outlook from negative to stable. In November of this year, we will go for another assessment, and we are very positive as far as that one is concerned. So there is a plan dealing with the issue of the qualifications. It is part and parcel of our MCAM process, which is also overseen by the MEC. And in terms of that, we have to date dealt with all of the previous issues as far as we are concerned to the best of our...
What did you call it?
MCAM, M-C-A-M. Sorry. The municipal?
Continued audit monitoring.
Yes. Municipal continued audit monitoring.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Chairperson.
Proceed.
Thank you. Yeah, so as far as that plan is concerned, we have certain targets, and those targets we monitor, not only at the MCAM level, but also at the EXCO level, but also with the committee dealing with executive audit tracking. Because of the findings in the 23-24 year that the AG made, that there is no leadership. So if there's no leadership, it means it's me, and it means it is the mayor, as you've indicated previously. So in order to deal with that, we then follow that, and certainly for purposes now, so the focus now, just as an example, focus now is going to be the extent to which we can respond to any request for information that would come through now with the current audit process, and to make sure that we hold those to account who do not respond timelessly. Because it's one thing to make the grade, but if you can't prove it, if you can't show the evidence, it's also a problem. So we're holding managers, group heads in our case, into account as far as that is concerned, to make sure that they take accountability, firstly responsibility and then accountability for the performance during the audit process. The water electricity losses, Vuyo, water tanker, the unfunded budget was dealt with, sorry. The vacancy rate, the vacancy rate, we are currently at the vacancy rate of 41%. To the best, 41%. To the best of my knowledge, and please if you can just check, and he will confirm this, but in the year of 23-24, it was higher. The vacancy rate in 23-24 was higher. I will ask my colleague to just confirm that number. We have not paid performance bonuses since I came into office, and I have not seen such an item. I've not seen such an item, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
If you haven't seen it, we will still go through the statements. We will show you if we find them.
Okay. No. Thank you, Chairperson. In relation to vacancies, as to what the EM earlier on alluded to, the overall one being about 39%. The finance department had about 23% vacancy rate, whilst as the EM had articulated, water, energy and electricity, and water and sanitation had 49.73%, 35.87%, and 49.73%. And those are your key service delivery departments. Now, coming back as it relation to what are we doing as the city to turn around from the qualified audit opinion to an unqualified audit opinion. I think my leadership on my left had already indicated, besides the various governance structures that had been since established, which include your executive audit tracking committee, which is chaired by the EM, and in addition to the MCAM, the municipal continued audit monitoring, we've got the APC, and after the audit outcome of the 2023-24 was actually announced on the 19th of December last year, the MCAM was convened, wherein a workshop was established. So what in that workshop, what was then since resolved was to establish 6 work streams for each of the qualification areas, and each of those work streams were led by a senior official at divisional head level, with the buy-in, such that as a city, we go back to the basics. We inculcate the culture of discipline, of doing what is necessary on a daily basis, culminating in a monthly reporting. That resulted in the establishment of various SOPs. That is your standard operating procedures, such that everyone knows what it is that they must do, when must it be done, and in terms of those responsibilities, because once you've got all those controls in place, we are able to further also institute a corrective action in terms of transgression, because no one can then come back and say they do not know. Now, this audit action plan was drafted, and we used the Circular 113 process, where the National Treasury web portal, where we documented all those audit findings, and the various audit action plans were considered by the line managers and ultimately approved by the CFO, as well as the CAE from internal audit. These were monitored periodically in the implementation of the progress, as well as once a department has declared that a particular audit outcome had been dealt with, internal audit would actually audit it and then actually confirm same. As in terms of that, 98 out of the 205 was validated by internal audit as actually resolved. 49 findings also marked as complete, because when the current audit cycle then started, the internal audit had to divert its focus area to those specific areas. So the long and short of it, there is a plan that is currently in place. It is being monitored and reported at various governance structures to ensure that the institution actually turns around the situation. And then there was also the question about the extent of the debtors book of the city. That is quite huge, at 28 billion. What the city has since done, and the early green shoots are actually starting to show. The EM did indicate that as part of the financial recovery plan, the MECO and council adopted a mayoral charter on revenue enhancement as part of the improvement process. That whole revenue enhancement and improvement program culminated in various governance structures which are monitored periodically, in fact on a weekly basis, in terms of revenue collection, the performance, where we monitor and are able to ascertain as to whether what corrective action need to be taken. I think the EM also alluded that during the year, as informed by the deliberations in those governance structures, the city developed an incentive scheme and debt relief, which also included amnesty component, particularly to try and also deal with the aspects pertaining to electricity losses, particularly those non-technical one relating to illegal connection of electricity. So all those schemes culminated particularly in the performance against the funding plan of 98%, wherein the city was able to collect about 40.5 billion from its customers versus the 41.3 billion per the funding plan. And resulting that in the run-up to the approval of the 25-26 budget, also National Treasury confirmed in terms that the 25-26 budget of the city is actually funded, and hence then the utterances by the EM indicating that notwithstanding the funding levy a legal matter, we still had a little bit of room to play with in order such that the impact is not as dire as it would have been if the budget was wholly unfunded. So in a sense, there are those plans that are currently unfolding. I thank you.
Chair, I will respond to the questions that relate to the water losses, electricity losses, as well as alternatives to the water tankering. Chair, indeed, there are various types of losses. It's technical and non-technical losses. Where we are experiencing challenges mainly, it's on non-technical losses, which is mainly people who steal our water and we don't bill them. The second aspect is technical, which is as a result of aged infrastructure, and I can say with confidence that the newest asset that we have, both in electricity and water, is more than 50 years old. What are we doing? I'm not going to talk about the history or causes. There are various interventions, Chair, that we have put in place. The first one is a partnership that we have with Aarhus City in Denmark, where they've identified a zone where we piloted different interventions that must be made. One, which is leak detection and training of our artisans to repair those leaks. Secondly, which is pressure management and a whole range of other interventions. And on that zone specifically, there has been a significant reduction. But if you are dealing with the city of Tshwane, it's quite a huge city, being the third biggest geographically in the world. The second intervention that we have, when we did an analysis of the city in terms of the losses, Region 1 is the one that has the highest losses, close to 50%. And if you do the same analysis in other regions, the losses are not so significant, but if you average, including Region 1, it pushes up to 39%. We have a partnership in MOU with Rainwater. They have skills.
You must at least tell us where Region 1 is.
Soshanguve and so on. It's one of the biggest regions. Check.
Which one?
Harakua, Roslyn, and so on.
Okay.
And that's where you have a concentration as well of informal settlements.
Yeah.
So
just refer to it because it's not on the GPS, it's just a Tshwane designation.
Okay, I'll do that, Chair. So we have commissioned Rainwater to come with their resources, and they've just started about a month ago. They are on site, they are assisting with leak detection, with pipe replacement, and a whole range of other initiatives, but we'll be able to report with confidence whether that has really made a significant impact, but we hope it's going to do that. I will not go into details in terms of other interventions that we're making. But Chair, one of the biggest problems that we have, our master plan requires about 2 billion a year for us to deal with pipe replacement or deal with the losses. And unfortunately, financial situation gets us to getting 25% of what we need. And if you look at the average kilometers of pipe replacement that we've been doing on an annual basis. It's quite insignificant given the spread of the city. So what we have just said, what we have decided is that let's go an extraordinary route, because if we are going to rely on government fiscus, we'll never be able to deal with the challenges that we have. Currently, as we speak, we're busy working closely with National Treasury. We're developing a specification for an off-balance sheet, which means we're not going to use council resources, but we'll go out on the market, get the private sector. They come with their own funding, with their competencies. They replace those pipes at a scale that is required, which will assist us in mitigating those losses. And the last one, which is important, City of Tshwane is lucky in the sense that it is the only city in Gauteng province that has its own sources that we can abstract water from. Other cities, they're 100% reliant on rainwater. So what we're saying is that rainwater, we get about 79% and 2% from Machalis, and we have 20% of our own sources. So the approach that we have now, still working with rainwater, is that let's augment our own sources so that we reduce the over-reliance on rainwater. We have started at River. They are there to assist us with operations and maintenance so that those plants can produce at the maximum capacity. Currently, all our wastewater treatment plants, including water treatment plants, they are operating below 50%. So that's an intervention that has already been initiated, and we have seen figures moving in the positive direction. So we are concerned about water losses, but we're doing something, and I have no doubt in my mind that in the next financial year, there will be an improvement. Our target, based on the current financial contribution that we're making, is 2% per annum. But if you go the off-balance sheet, we can increase that to 5%, which will be quite significant.
2%, 5% of what?
2% reduction based on the resources that we have. Hence, we said this is not assisting. Rather, let's go out on the market, get the money from the private sector so that at least the minimum threshold that we can put per each year is 5%. Which means in 6 years' time, if we continue on this trend with the current losses, we would have reduced losses quite significantly.
Okay, proceed.
All right. Same applies to electricity, which is not bad comparatively speaking. Currently, we're at 17%, which is a significant improvement from the last 2 financial years. Chair, 7%, I am told, I'm not an electrical engineer, it's inevitable.
Sorry, what is 17%?
17% of losses.
Your losses are
Electricity.
17%.
17%
No longer
translating.
30.
No, the 39 is for water.
Oh.
And then now I've moved to electricity.
And electricity is,
At 17%.
and that's an improvement.
It's an improvement comparatively speaking. If we look back to the prior years, we were above 20%.
I see.
Yes.
Because the Auditor General was comparing you with the,
Last.
yeah, Auditor General is referring to a 10%. No, but you can explain, because I'm not sure
Okay.
whether you are comparing things differently.
Okay, all right. Chair. Currently, okay, let me start by saying 7%, I'm told that's what I was saying, it's acceptable. There will be inevitable distribution losses in the bulk network. So we're not called to account on that.
No,
Apparently.
that's fine, I get you. Let's
Yes.
just get back.
Sure.
AG is saying the norm is 10.
Yes.
You were 17.
We're 17, yes.
You are 17. You used to be what?
We're about 22, if I remember
You used to be
correctly.
32.
Yes.
And on water?
On water, we're doing very well when there was major investment in the infrastructure 5 years ago. But in the last 2 years, we have been doing badly.
So what's your percentage?
Currently we're 39%, which is not
39
acceptable.
on water.
Yes, Chair.
Proceed.
All
Okay.
right. So on electricity, as I'm saying, it's not as significant as the other one, as I'm saying that there is a threshold that is understood to be a norm. We have different interventions, but then again, the technical losses are not a huge problem. It's again electricity theft, vending fraud, people bypassing the system. It's a number of reasons which we are focusing on, which we are reporting on a committee that is chaired by the city manager every Tuesday, on a committee that is chaired by the executive mayor when are the repcos now? They've changed. It was Thursday. Yeah, every Thursday.
Let's round up that.
All right.
Yeah.
Chair, there's a significant improvement here, but one of the key decisions that we've taken as a city, which will go a long way in reducing this theft. We go and disconnect, but a month later, they reconnect. So it's toing and froing, which does not help. So we've taken a model of the city of Cape Town. We're saying that if there's a criteria that we've developed, if there's a bulk infrastructure network, and you can identify individuals that occupy certain stands, even if they don't have title deeds, which is the current policy. Let's give those people, have a process of identifying occupants and give them certificates of occupants. Let's extend the electricity because it's inevitable they are going to steal. If we give them, we formalize it, they are going to pay. So those are one of the measures that we're putting in place to make sure that people pay for electricity. So we are extending. We're also doing a number of interventions where we're triangulating information, looking at the GIS billing system and looking at areas where they are getting services, but we don't get them in the billing system. So there's continuous audit where meters have been converted from industrial to residential. We are doing audit and we report on a weekly basis. Hence, there is an improvement. I'm sure in this financial year, there will be a percentage movement. Water tankering, it's a problem, it's costly, it's not sustainable. We're aware as a city. What are we doing? Chair, the first thing I will say, and I hope I'm not going to rock the boat. There's a study that was done by the ex-statistician general in 2021. He indicated that on a monthly basis, there's a daily influx of 10,000 illegal or undocumented foreign nationals that get into the city. And it's only an insignificant percentage that migrates to other cities. Now, what that means and what that has resulted into. In 2021, we had 240 informal settlements. As we speak now, we have 530 informal settlements. And we have a constitutional obligation to provide water to those people. And if we don't, South African human rights for lawyers, they are on us, they take us to court. How do we do that? Because the infrastructure that we have, including the sources of water that we have, they are not adequate for us to provide or to extend the infrastructure to those settlements. So water tankering is a problem. What are we doing? One, there's a committee that we have established to develop alternative sources of supply. We're working as well with different institutions, your CSIR, your Water Research Commission, your University of Pretoria. The brief to the University of Pretoria is for them to do a cost-benefit analysis, wherein we're saying they must compare what will be the ultimate cost if we own that fleet to provide water. We do have own fleet, but it is not adequate to provide to those communities. So that is underway. Other options, we are looking at different technologies. There have been presentations to us, but unfortunately we have to use institutions that have the necessary competences to be a sounding board to those competences. We are looking at rainwater harvesting. We are looking, as I indicated earlier on, that we are augmenting our own sources because it's less costly to produce water that you are generating on your own than going to rent water and buy that water. The same issues that were raised by the city of Johannesburg. Also, as part of mitigating costs, we have called the service providers, indicated to them that unfortunately, because of the financial burden that we find ourselves in, we will not be able to deliver water on a daily basis. So we've reduced from 7 to 4. We've spoken to the communities for them to understand. So we are doing something, Chair. It has not yielded any results, but we're getting a lot of pressure from our MACO to make sure that we reduce cost when it comes to water tankering. It's going to be a process, but we're committed in really dealing with this issue.
Chair, if I can just fill in on one question that was not fully addressed. I think the issue of mafias, Honorable Member, we do have water tanker mafias, we do have transformer mafias in the city. The water tankers, a few Fridays ago, after we made this decision to reduce the number of days in which we deliver water, there were people who had rifles who were stopping service providers from getting water from the hydrants. And we did not change the decision because obviously it had financial implications. But we do have that kind of a mafia in the city. On the side of transformers, even for ESCOM, it's not only for us. When we go to the informal settlements where we have not given electricity, there are many ESCOMs and many city of Tshwane that own transformers and making communities to pay. What we have decided to do is to identify 6 informal settlements that we are busy metering as we speak. And with that 6, it's our pilot project. While we have issued an RFP for those who can give alternative sources for sanitation and watering services. What we also did on the side of water tankers is also part of the pilot. We're in the process of procuring 15 water tankers, especially for emergency delivery, where there's a case where normally people would get water from their taps, but there's a problem with the infrastructure. So those water tankers should be delivered before the end of the financial year. We're doing the same with waste, which is another challenge that we had last year, that when we changed the conditions of the waste contractors, we had a boycott where for a number of days we couldn't collect waste. We then took a decision that we need to go the internal capacity route, but we need the study to just give us an indication if that's the most cost-effective way to do so. The last point is that on the side of corruption that we found at supply chain, there's work that is being done. I was hoping my colleagues will touch on that, but we are going full-blown on the online tendering system. We have done it in phases. Now we're up to 750,000 rand in terms of the tenders that are being processed through the digital platform. We are starting the pilot in the month of November for the open tender system to go online, with the plan that in the next financial year, all the tenders will be processed online. So I thought, let me just add on those 2, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's get the next set of questions.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to start by, I'm not shocked anyway, because Tshwane, fortunately I'm a resident as well there, but the unavailability of getting to a mayor and to the city manager, if I am unable to get hold of you, trying to get to your secretaries, you'll always have stories. I've been battling to get, in fact, before you as well, but with the city manager, it's been long. I just want to ask one question. I'll start with this one. Non-compliance with Section 131 of the PMFA. Why? Why are you not complying? 240 disciplinary cases were finalized. And saying finalized is not good enough. Then what happened? They were finalized, then what? Number 2, the issue the mayor which promised the citizen of Tshwane that the issue of water in Region 2 in Hammanskraal will be resolved by the end of March. I'm sitting here. I went to Hammanskraal. That matter is still not resolved. Our people are drinking water which are not healthy for their lives. There's been so many promises about the Hammanskraal water issue. Please, let's not play with our people. Please, let's not lie. Number 3, the people of Canaan in the R225 road, they closed the road there. Completely closed the road. I had to call the police to help because they were not allowing vehicle to pass through that road because of the issue of water, as you said, Executive Mayor, about non-payment and that. And my plea to you and your executive can you please again open this relief plan? Because elderly people, and some people were ignorant because there was no enough awareness to say that you'll be closing somewhere. I think it was April or May. Can you please revisit that again for our people? Because as you said here, that some money you cannot recover. In Zitobeni and Kangala.
Just hold on. Excuse me, just hold on. Just stand up, sir. You? Yes. No. Gentleman with a nice shirt. You are taking records. In terms of our rules here, you couldn't do that without permission. So, are you working in this, Tshwane? You're working where? In the legislature? As a member? As a staff? Okay. No, we have rules here. You don't just take, you request, get permission, and be allowed. As it turns out, the light is so harsh, it's even disturbing the members' vision. So, how will we know you have deleted? Go over that side and just declare your innocence. Please proceed.
I'll contextualize soon, Chair.
And by the way,
I'm beat now.
you had gone past
almost
your
done.
time.
I'm almost done, Chair.
You've done over your time.
Yeah, the last but one as well, as I was talking about the issue of Ekangala, Kanan, Zitobeni, and Ritabising, and those, there's factories there, Ekandastria, which has been, I think, when the minister now, Hosi Sile Ramkhopa, he spoke about that issue that soon, I'm talking soon. I'm not fighting you, you must understand me.
No,
I just want us to help each other.
Now,
there was a promise that the people of that area
please close.
Will be, yeah, I'm closing. Last part one, Chair.
No. You're closing. You're getting.
No. Remember, I have not finished that, Chair. Because I was like.
You were supposed to have 1 minute. It's not 1 minute. My watch is watching. So I'm saying just finish your question and close.
Yeah, I was disorganized by the camera, but it's fine.
No, actually, it was not you who was disturbed, someone else.
I stopped, then I had to now.
No,
yeah, but be that as it may, the last one, Chair, was about that Ekandastria, to say, when you send people to come and recover, sometimes they close, they bend, they close roads, they do all those things. Can you please assist the process? It's been going on for too long, the issue of Ekandastria, which can help for people to be able to get their job.
No, close it now. Close it now. Let's move on.
Thank you very much, Chair. Greetings to Mayor and the team. Firstly, through to you, Chair, I want to confirm who's the Deputy Mayor? The name? Is Modize, still Modize?
Yes.
All right. Can you kindly update us regards to the case that involves Modize? The case of corruption that is under investigation, whereby the Auditor General flagged it on a security contract that was alleged linked to Modize. In all other cases of corruption that involves payroll, fraud by an imposter, bribery by a revenue collection employee, including the Department of Police. That is number one. And then please take us through, there is an outcry in terms of illegal appointments, including the city manager. I think one of the team members was introducing himself as the acting CFO. So can you just take us through into confidence about the appointments of CFO, city manager, COO, chief audit executive, including the chief of police. Mayor, before you came into the office and the team, there was a report of insourcing about 4,000 security guards in the city of Tshwane. Please update us because that matter was become a problem and also involves the workers of Tshwane. So can you update us? How did you resolve it? How far with that case? And as we are sitting here, Mayor, people from Tshwane, because of unemployment, so I think there are reports that they have just gone and occupied Roslyn Industries. So what is the plan with the city to address the issue of unemployment? Because now people are very much agitated. It started in Durban and all over the country, so now is in Tshwane. At least we are having you here. So there's the Auditor General is saying that you don't have an appetite of investigating UIFW. Can you take us through what are you doing? In terms of the fruitless and wasteful expenditure is increasing, Mayor and the team, from 793 million to 2.9 billion. So what could be the challenge and how are you addressing that issue? As well as the, you spend, one of the colleagues spoke about the use of consultants. So far you spend about 5.8 million on consultants. I listened to you try to justify why are you using consultants as well. The quality of your financial statement and performance report is very poor. Why is that? It is said by the AG. Thanks very much.
Sorry, can you just go back? What aspects of the appointments do you want us to look at?
You must clarify it because there is a report that you have followed the illegal appointment procedures.
On all of those you've mentioned?
Yes.
You've had it's a written report?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, proceed. Next, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is also on the annual financial statement, whereby when you read the presentation from the municipalities, it justifies the problem by referring to historical context and lack of capacity. So I would like to check with the municipality that when did they realize that there's a need of capacity within the municipality? Was it before or after submitting the AFS? And also, Chair, 5.8 million, it's a lot of money to be paid to someone who gives you low quality of work. It's like building a house without proper ventilation system. So going forward, what is it that the municipality is going to do in order to rectify this situation? Lastly, Chair, can the executive mayor please break down the 15 billion UIF and also indicate which department has contributed most to these funds, and are there any consequence management associated to this matter? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, let's go to responses. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. I will start with the issue of Hammanskraal water. Indeed, honorable members, that remains a thorny and really heartbreaking situation in Hammanskraal. We made a commitment together with the Department of Water and Sanitation and Magalies Water that all the communities that have been deprived of clean water are supposed to be provided for by the Rooiwal Wastewater Treatment Plant should have clean water by June 2025. And the project was in 4 phases. The first phase was supposed to be delivered in September 2024. We delayed to deliver until January 2025, which then pushed back all the other modules. The last time that we met the community of Hammanskraal with Minister of Water and Sanitation, MEC Mamabulo, and Magalies, we then promised that community that as we were launching end of June, it's going to take a few weeks to deliver clean water to their taps. There have been, I will call it excuses after excuses, honorable members, from the side of Magalies Water, who is the implementing agent for that project. We engage with them on a daily basis at a technical level. even with the Minister of Water and Sanitation and the Deputy Minister and MEC, to a point where we were even exploring bringing capacity for us as the city of Tshwane, because we are responsible for reticulation. We have done the part that we were supposed to do. But where we are struggling is that Magali's water is supposed to deliver 12.5 megaliters, but they have not been able to give that capacity. But there is some progress. And of course, this is progress within a failure, if we may put it that way. Already there is delivery. Communities were telling me this morning that water is clean, there is improvement in the water pressure, but we're still talking about module 2. But module 2 and module 3 will be delivered through the same pipe. So once we deal with module 2, we will should be moving to the communities that's supposed to benefit to module 3. But honorable member, this is not a point where we try to be defensive about the broken promise to the people of Hammanskraal. I know that the political leadership from national, province to ourselves, we're working with Magali's water to make sure that at least we need to finish the project. But there has been delays that we can't deny here.
Before you proceed, what's your relationship? Do you have a relationship where they can actually be levied penalties for the inability to complete the targeted undertaking?
So the project is paid for by Water and Sanitation Chair. So we're not involved in the contract management.
But you do have a letter of complaint to the minister, because we would like to have that letter.
Not the letter, because we engage in meetings.
So you didn't complain?
No, because we're engaging through the IGR platform.
So the members are right to think you are the one who must be faced on this, because you didn't complain.
Yes, we didn't complain in writing, Chair.
In writing?
Yes, because we do have the IGR platforms to discuss.
It's in minutes somewhere that you actually raised the issue, and what was the response?
Yes, particularly with the Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation, when there was an issue with the information that Magali's would give to the minister, which is different from what was happening on the ground. And we convened a meeting where we spoke about it, but it didn't get to a point where we send letters.
No, one of the problems for us is that this is how we do things. We start with that problem. The member comes back and raises this complaint. Now, when we hear the complaint, we want to know who actually is at fault. So when we listen, we think it's you. Then you explain that it's Magali's. But we don't hear what you have done to actually get Magali's to be held accountable. Then we come back to you. You see, so the issue is, if there's nothing formal that shows us that you have actually raised the matter, we can't take it up with them. They say, oh, we didn't know. Nobody complained to us. And then you must now answer us and answer the community. So we have a problem now with you. Unless you can actually get us that complaint, send it through to the MEC and then bring us a copy so we can go back and ask the ministers why. You see, I don't know how many people are going to talk about this issue here. I can tell you my own notes of what is coming on this thing. Okay? And to start off with, in the first instance, the cholera issue is a negligence of the management. And there's no other explanation in any part of the world. If somebody's cholera, somebody has actually polluted the drinking water and it's an administrative issue. You are a doctor, you understand the basic primary healthcare issues. There is no way you can deal with such a thing unless you can sort out the water first. And the deaths that come from there are very easy to prevent and they're very easy to escalate. So the question is not academic. The question is, the problem in the first instance for the cholera outbreak was because of the failures in management. Now then everybody goes there and the undertakings given and everything. Now the community is complaining because things have not happened as expected. Now must we wait again until another breakout of cholera? What will you say is our explanation that when we've actually been warned that the thing does cause deaths and cholera and deaths, but all of a sudden it comes back again, but The municipality has been there, the provincial government has been there, the national government has been there, everybody has been there, and undertakings were made. At the end, people are going to be affected by cholera. I mean, what are we saying to our people? That's the problem. So we can't leave it as that. I understand you feeling very regretful about it, but I'm saying, if you haven't got a provable step that you have taken, then you're actually putting us into problem, because we actually think it's you who's not actually reporting that this thing is not working, it's not being done. If it was raised in the meeting, then we want to see the letters. That actually, if we speak in a meeting, there must be a formal thing that we can use and follow up as proof that actually the right authority was approached and made aware. Because then we would leave you and go to talk to the Minister of Water and Sanitation. Now we can't. On what basis? Oh, no, I've got a report, everything's going well. How do we tell them it's wrong? That's the issue. That is the issue. So you have to rectify that, because we can't move on other than actually thinking that you are the ones who are neglecting. You're monitoring, but you're not talking about it. If you talk about it in private and in meetings, and there's no record anywhere, when problems come back, we will think you are responsible. So that's why I'm actually saying it doesn't end there. Please move on with the questions.
Thank you, Chair, and indeed that shall be rectified. On the issue of the relief scheme, Honourable Member, it's definitely one of the things we're considering, because the uptake was quite slow at the beginning, and because there was misinformation about what the scheme is saying, but also the issue of awareness. We have received over 22,000 applications for the scheme. We then said, let's close, let's process so we can learn from the process, because it was not a simple process as well. So it's definitely something that we will consider to take back to council to reopen once we finish with the over 22,000 applications that we have. The issue of bronchospray, we're still dealing with issue of the border issues, cross-boundary issues as the city of Tshwane. It's not only Ekandastria, the Babelegi Industrial, the Rangoa Industrial. It's something that we continuously raise with the province, the premier, the relevant MEC for Kota, and other ministers, because it's something that has not only stalled economic development, especially in the former industrial areas, but the issue of title deeds that from Mpumalanga as well as Northwest. We have made progress with Northwest, but specifically on the issue of Ekandastria, it's one of those issues, but we are in touch with the industries in the Region 7, including those that are in Ekandastria. The issue of irregularities in the appointments of senior managers, specifically the irregularity that was identified was on one position. That one position was the position of the management and support officer. We approved the appointment, I think, February 2025. The MEC wrote back to us around the 2nd of June, where he raised that the composition of our panel included 2 councillors, and the regulations don't allow so. In our response to the MEC, we said this has been a trend in the city, that all the Section 56, in fact, the Section 56 that you have identified there, the composition of the panel included the 2 councillors. And we then sent a subsequent letter to say, now that we have read the resolutions for the city manager appointment, also that panel had 2 councillors. Can we get guidance on it? We then left it with the MEC, who then contacted National Cocta and yet to guide us in terms of how we are dealing with that issue. So I just needed to clarify the nature of the irregularity. It was in the composition of, and we are just waiting for Cocta then to guide us in that regard. The issue of the insourcing, in 2019, yes, the agreement was that there should be 4,000 security guards that are insourced. Fast forward to 2021, the mayor then was Mayor Randall, so that should be the correct financial year. There was a resolution where council decided not to insource the 4,000 anymore, but instead insource the ones that were already on the system, which was 1,283 security guards. There is that resolution, and so what the current resolution that we have and the principal decision that we've taken is that those security guards were insourced without benefits. So you have people that have not been deployed to work, they don't have PPE, they don't have tools of trade, and the principal decision that we've taken was to say, can we please complete the insourcing process, which would include empowering them. The training has started. I mean, it's been happening for a couple of weeks now. There is a report that we approved in terms of phasing in the benefits for those.
Just hold on a bit. What is the issue? Take the sorry. Put the thing here. Okay, proceed.
So the recent report that we took was that we're going to phase in the benefits which we have approved already. So the number that we are currently working with is the 1,283. You raised an issue about the unemployment rate in the city of Tshwane. Indeed, the unemployment rate has been increasing in the city of Tshwane, that in the first quarter, our unemployment rate increased to 38.7%. And most of that, about 60% of the people that are unemployed are young people in the city. However, we saw some degree of progress in the quarter two, which is the latest, where 57,000 new jobs that were created in Gauteng, which was 85% of the jobs created in Gauteng, came from Tshwane, which is something that we are looking into to say what were the causes, how do we capitalize. But obviously, we don't want accidental successes. The city in April adopted an economic revitalization strategy for 2025 to 2029. In that economic revitalization, just briefly, we identified 11 sectors that already exist in Tshwane, that if we support them, it can attract those sectors can attract between 17 to 26 billion rands over the 5 years, which translates into average of 3.9% economic growth. But in real job creation should give us about 80,000 new jobs, both in the formal and informal sector. But we didn't end there, because we need to support the sectors. Next week, on the 10th, we have an investment summit where we are targeting to attract about 5 billion rand by December of investment into the city, which include the investment that's already in the pipeline. And we are taking investors on board in terms of the interventions that we are making as an incentive to invest in Tshwane, the infrastructure development plans that we have, but also the assets that are owned by the city that will enable the sectors to thrive. So that's the one that I wanted to touch on. In terms of what are we doing, we saw the images in Roslyn, and it's something that we should concern all of us. In terms of the investigations of the UIWF's honorable member, I did say at the beginning that we did not, yes, AG for the 2023-2024 had said that we're not doing anything, but we took that seriously. So in the past financial year, we were able to investigate over 14 billion rands, and further 4 billion rands is being investigated this financial year. What we have done of the 14 billion rand that has been investigated already, 10 billion has already been processed by MPEC, and the further 4 billion rand has already been submitted to MPEC for processing. So we took it seriously that even during the adjustment budget, we allocated additional funds just to augment the capacity to investigate. So I just wanted to give that assurance as well that it's something that we take seriously in our efforts to improve our audit outcomes, but also how the city just hold people accountable, because there is monies that are recommended to be recovered from individuals and companies as a result of those of the processing by MPEC.
Sorry, honourable members, we will not do any tea break, but tea is available. So please take your own break and go and have some tea and come back. We will not take a break. Please deal with the next issues. There's a question here I was hoping you were going to deal with. The case involving Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I didn't touch on that. When the issue was raised by one of the members of council, I obviously referred it to be investigated. We appointed an investigator. The city manager tells me that I'm getting the outcomes of the investigation tomorrow. We can share the outcomes. I haven't seen them as yet, but that's where we are in terms of that investigation.
Chairperson, just in terms of the consequence management of the UIFW, in the pack that we have provided, we've indicated that 65 disciplinary actions were recommended against officials, and 49 control improvements were also recommended. That was only in respect of UIFW. In general, in terms of holding people to account for less serious cases during the course of 2023-24, there were just in excess of 220. Let me see. Yeah, 220 cases for 24. For 23-24, and then 423 for the next financial year, for the one that just passed. But those were consequence management for less serious cases, which would include the TMPD. My apologies for reading, but I'm getting information as the questions are being answered. If need be, we can give this to you in writing as well, so that it's part of the record. Similarly, there was also the question on the TMPD. There were allegations made of misconduct. We are investigating it, and there's a report that will go to council at its next meeting, and we can share that report with you as well. Okay, we've dealt with the appointments of the 56s. Then my colleague will deal with the use of consultants, because I'm not quite sure exactly which consultants, but I'll allow him to deal with that. The performance report is a thorny issue, because it speaks to the lack of management of performance. Because the issue that the AG has raised with us is that you say you have reported, you say you have performed, but the evidence that you are giving to us is not reliable. That shows that there is a problem with the management of performance. So during the course of this, of the past financial year, we have put considerable effort into improving the quality of the information that we get on a quarterly basis. That would have included also adding to the capacity, appointing personnel that would then also deal with that kind of managerial processes. So that has then also happened, and we should be able to see during the course of this audit what kind of improvement that would have brought to bear. So the lack of capacity really, as I've indicated earlier, becomes more apparent as you try to correct the system. Then you realize that those vacancies that one would have ignored, those are the managerial vacancies that would have enabled you to have sufficient control over what was happening on the ground, and hence the investment in that kind of capacity. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, I have. Thank you, Chair. Perhaps from the last round, there was a question on what are the internal control measures to prevent future recurrence of the irregular expenditure. I think when I was looking at my notes, I noted that we had missed that. One of the things I wanted to indicate is that emanating from the AG's report, of which, as the city acknowledged, the city embarked on a proactive forensic assurance on qualifying tenders, which is conducted once the BEC has done its evaluation. The purpose of this review is to provide assurance through to the accounting officer, the CM, as well as the BAC, that what is brought before them at least has undergone some probity checks, and the threshold currently for that, it's tenders above 20 million. And in instances after internal audit have looked at the probity aspect of those tenders, and if none of those could actually be cured, what then happens, it is recommended through to the CM that tender be cancelled, and then it be addressed as such. Again, on the issue particularly relating through to fruitless and wasteful expenditure, part of is that what is the primary cause? You'd recall that the city, obviously, we did acknowledge that it had liquidity challenges, and the plans that have been put through, particularly with the mayoral charter on financial recovery and so forth, has resulted in this turnaround. Hence, we're starting to see the green shoots. But primarily, the city was unable to honor its obligations towards ESCOM. That resulted in a debt having accumulated to the tune of about 6.6 billion, which was not being paid. And you'll recall that in December last year, the city then concluded an agreement with ESCOM, which through agreement was made an order of court, such that all those arrear amounts are actually ring-fenced on certain conditions, that the city maintains the current account on current, and no interest will be charged, and there are certain payment terms that actually guide the city and ESCOM as to how to repay that amount over a period of about 60 months. So far, out of the initial debt that we resumed the arrangement with ESCOM of 6.6 billion, 1.1 billion of that has been paid. There is a balance of 5.5 billion, and that enabled us as well to remove it from your current liabilities to your non-current liabilities, because a certain portion of that is payable in periods longer than 12 months. But the interest charges that we're incurring from this huge amount from ESCOM also contributed to the fruitless and wasteful expenditure. I just wanted to highlight on that part. And then I think if members, as you, Chair, would have been taking cognizance, particularly of the media reports, that what the CM is actually relating to, there has been a headway made, particularly since capacity had been built in the forensics department within the city and criminal cases opened, that some of the officials who were actually involved, I think there was a question particularly also relating to revenue, where they have been actually arrested and such things, media statements in the city to alert and raise awareness among staff members that there would be consequences for wrongdoing. So such a sterner action is being taken in instances where wrongdoing is found. And in finalizing on when did the municipality realize that the capacity was inadequate?
No, thank you very much, and greetings once more. So, the chair, the issue of the insourcing of security guards, I think the leadership will have to fall short in terms of the posture of the government, irrespective of the council resolutions that had been passed by different administrations, is that it's been attended to, and we understand the plight of the security guards who are working without UIF benefits, some of them, who are constantly on contracts and are not being looked after. The Labor Relations Act is not observed, and so on. So the posture of the government is to rectify that over a period of time. And I think that's important that you live with that peace of mind. And then on the issue of the unlawful appointments on the Section 56 managers, I think the MMC the MEC may also want to chip in terms of the commitment of how is he going to deal with it, because it's an IGR matter. And we don't wish to also adjudicate on it per se, because I think then the MEC is vested with those powers so that he can speedily intervene on that matter, because it has a potential of affecting the day-to-day running of the municipality, in that if the core leadership that is senior in the municipality is facing matters of that nature, then it affects stability. But I think with the guidance of the IGR structure that is in there, we'll be able to then attend to it and then resolve that matter so that there is stability, and we know that you live with a peace of mind that yes, there is commitment and we are giving it the necessary attention required. And then in terms of the role of MPEG on the UIFWs,
what are you saying?
in relation to?
Just what to finish before you go to the next point. What are you saying?
The IGR matter and the Section 56 managers.
Yes.
Yes, no, I'm saying that the matter, yes, is in relation to the composition of the panelists that were selected for that, in that the councillors were overrepresented. But because this was an irregular appointment of some sort, the MEC, the matter has been escalated to the MEC. So we are saying that as the municipality, the MEC is here, and then maybe if possible and the chair allows, then they will be able to attend to that, or get some form of commitment so that it does not affect the municipality long term in terms of stability and so on.
You're taking chances, ne?
No, I'm sorry, Chair, if I came across as such.
No, firstly, what you're doing, you have done three things, and I'm not sure they're quite right. The starting point, the member asks a question. There seems to have been an irregularity in the appointment of senior managers. Has that matter been investigated, and if so, what are the details? Then the answer comes. Yes, something was investigated in this regard, and we have a report. And Chairperson will give you that report. It doesn't say what's in the report. Then we leave the matter. Then you go back, you are unprovoked. you go back to the same issue. Now, you are saying they should have given me more details because you are aware of them. I'm not sure you are right. I'm not saying you are wrong. But you go on now to specify some of the things. But you're making a request which I think is really out of 10. Because the issue is that this report and the role of the MEC has got a process by which such a thing can be dealt with. The mayor, the MM know the process. You write to the MEC. And the MEC doesn't wake up and look at it and say, as a team, say, my point. There's a process. Now, by chance, the MEC happens to be here. Now, I want the MEC to answer the question. I don't even know if the letter to the MEC has gone yet from your offices.
Yes, it has
No,
gone.
no.
Oh, sorry.
You are even out of order now. Because we're not doing a dialogue. I'm just telling you why your approach is wrong. I'm telling you your approach is wrong. Okay? But you can't have two approaches from one municipality about the same issue. You didn't report this matter. The matter was reported by the member. The member is interested. Now, the response is that there's been an investigation. To avoid getting onto the details of being uncertain about some of the details, they will send you the report. That's what the MM says. Now, who of these people had a problem of a panel? Is it all of them? Is it some of them? Is it one of them? Is that the only thing? What is your role in relation to this entire thing that makes you want to get to comment on it and actually want me to refer the MEC to respond to your issue because he's here? But even if he's here, he's not here to service administrative issues of Tshwane. I'm not even sure even if he knows the letter has been received or not. Even if it is, the best you can do, and it can't be done by Tshwane, it can be done by this committee. MEC, can you comment on that? Your approach is not correct. So let's close this issue. We will have this report. The MEC will comment, but we're not closing this discussion because what we are having, we want to see the report too. Whatever happens, we will want to get the report. So when that report comes, it will come with the response of the MEC. Because it will come to us via the MEC already with his part of the issue in it. Whether at that point he has responded to Tshwane or not is not our business. Our business is that he must tell us this is where the municipalities, this is what his role is. And then we can take it from there. Now, I'm going to ask you to halt it. Let's get the other members to ask questions.
Okay. No, thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, just to remind the leadership of Tshwane about the question with regards to the deputy mayor. It hasn't been dealt with. The city actually raised some frustrations with regard to national government departments not paying for the rates and services. We will appreciate if the city could just compile a list of those departments and share the list with the committee, if possible by today, so that we'll be able to follow it up. Number two, the issue of consequent management that the city said is being exercised. We'll appreciate actually if the city could just give details in terms of that, because the AG also raised some concerns with regard to issues of consequent management. There was an issue of a plan that the city is dealing with regard to audit issues. If the city could also give details with regard to that moving forward. Number 4, there was an issue of vacancy rate, which was 41%, and the city was going to confirm details with regard to that and revert back to us. So we'll appreciate if that could be done, if possible, by today. So, Chair, there was an intervention that the city actually spoke about with regard to pilot program or project that will deal with water leaks, leak detention. We'll appreciate if we could also get details with regard to that, and then the city shares those details with us. There was also an issue with regard to analysis with regard to Region 1, which involved okay, but I can't remember the towns that you said involved Region 1. You spoke of 39% losses. I was a little bit confused, Chair, because the mayor also spoke of 49%. I would actually request that actually you clarify which one is correct. Was it 49% or 39% or 49% involved water and other related items, if that could be clarified as well. Thank you, Chair. Both.
Thank you, Kabazela. Good afternoon. Maybe before I ask my question, I think this is of relevance both to the municipality in front of us here, Tshwane, and also this morning, City of Johannesburg. I think there's one fact which you must all keep in mind, that residents are really not interested in the musical chairs, the turnover and whatever, of saying I wasn't there. Because especially in particular with Tshwane, we know that has been very prevalent. I think that of all the things that might not have been met, the one that really defines everything, which I would like to ask because it's mentioned here and I will read it as is in terms of the report, is non-compliance with section 131, subsection 1 of the MFMA. And this section provides that a municipality, of course, must address any issues raised by the Auditor General in an audit report, and that the mayor of a municipality must ensure compliance by the municipality with this subsection. As per the Auditor General's consolidated 23-24 MFMA report, page 128, the mayor did not ensure that the issues raised in the audit report were addressed. So if really even the intervention of the Auditor General, I think there's no other way to use except to say it's ignored. I think that it becomes a very serious indictment. Maybe if you could just make us understand why was it not done as stated by the Auditor General. And then maybe the last one from my side, if you could just please share with us the salary percentage in Tshwane. I don't know if you get my question. The salary percentage of your revenue. The percentage and the number. Thank you, Chair.
Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good afternoon to the meeting at large. I have few comments to make, and all those comments I will be making it in relation to a bad performance. Perhaps it is the lack of a better word to use. Bad performance of an organization called the City of Tshwane. I was looking at your presentation and I know we can agree. The first one is in relation to the poor quality of financial statements. Now, as you mitigate against that, you are I would like you to comment about the state of your internal audit unit as well as your audit committee, as far as the poor quality of the financial statements as articulated by the AG. Again, in looking to the very same matter, you are conducting technical training for finance officials. My question is, what is it that you are doing for oversight structures that are part of the whole exercise of dealing with the issue at hand? Then there are consultants. The amount of money was articulated in the meeting. It's also in the report, which is in the region of 5 million. Then my question is that, do you have a target to do away with the consultants? Because the assumption is that there is a capacity that is lacking, but we still have that bad picture that has been outlined there. When are you intending to eliminate the consultants? Then on slide 27, when you talk about the issue of the consequence management, you have a line there that says you are going to ensure that competent employees with high standards of integrity are appointed. That's coded. Can you decode it? What is it that you are trying to say about the current employees that you have, if you have that intention in order to deal with the bad situation? Then the last one, because others have been asked, I was listening to when the accounting officer was employed. It goes back to 2022, that's 2025. It's almost 3 years in a 5-year contract, I assume. And my question would be, from the point of view of the accounting officer, where would you say you have either stagnated or regressed when looking at, because we might be looking to the audit process, but we are not for the management of the audit except for creating an administrative situation where you are going to say it's a well-oiled machine. Now, when you have been there, I may not be sure even if that predates the time you went there. Perhaps you might have been an administrator before you were recruited, but it doesn't matter. Starting from the 2022 to now, it's almost 3 years, and where can you be able to say, when you do your own assessment as an accounting officer, you didn't progress in relation to putting into a well-oiled administrative machine for the organization? Thank you very much, Chair.
Can we do responses? We'll do response and come back.
Thank you, honorable members. I think let's just repeat on the matter of the Deputy Executive Mayor's investigation into the allegations that were submitted regarding the security companies and whether that happened, whether there's a conflict of interest. I did refer that to appoint the investigator or the investigating company. The city manager confirms that the investigation has been delivered to his office. I haven't seen it. That's why I was saying once we process it, we can make that available if that's what is required. That was the response on that one. The second one, yes, definitely we can easily forward the list of those national departments, honorable member. We're not raising this for the first time. It's well known, even the Premier had assisted us to escalate, but we'll definitely make the list available. In terms of the vacancy rate, currently it is at 39%. The acting CFO did give the breakdown in terms of how much of that is at water, for instance, or electricity, especially the service delivery departments. In terms of Region 1 includes the Mawiga area, so Mabopane, Winterfeld, Garankuwa, the entire Soshanguve, the towns or CBDs like Roslyn and Acacia. It's one of the biggest region in terms of population that we have, but also one of the impoverished region that we have in the city of Tshwane. Then the issue of non-compliance with 131, Honorable Member, of course, we understand that no one is interested to say I was in here because then what's the alternative? So what we have done immediately we received the audit outcomes was to sit down with AG to guide us in terms of the responsibilities of the executive mayor with the intention of improving our audit outcomes. How do we lead, to get there? Hence, we then had to establish the executive audit tracking committee with the consequence management, with the rep code committee that are all chaired by the executive mayor, so that we can take stock of all the elements that will lead into the improvement. So that's what has happened in terms of, in the role of the executive mayor, there hasn't been a negligence in terms of that legislated responsibility. In terms of the, no, I think the others, the colleagues can help, honorable members.
Chairperson, the issue around compliance with Section 131, which was raised, those refer specifically to those 13 areas that the AG has indicated to us. Those 13 areas in the 22-23, which caused the adverse opinion. Those 13 areas must be addressed. We then, for purposes of this financial year, sorry, for the financial year under review, the 23-24, we then dealt not with all 13. We dealt with 7 of them. Now, the minute you don't deal with all of them, then Section 131 said you did not do what the AG told you to do. So that we accept. Hence, the plan then, our improvement plan, our audit improvement plan then, for the financial year that followed the one that you are looking at, 23-24, would then focus, among others, on those 6 that we, those 6 that we did not address fully. And those 6 are the ones that we stagnated in. Because either because of the scope, but no matter what the causes were, we identified those and we said, AG, we agree with you. On those 6, we owe you. So, so if you wanted to know what are those areas, those are the areas that we put in everything that we had in order to deal with those. The issue around the poor quality of the AFS would then also be directly linked to that. So, among others, the AG said you must manage your processes better so that there is more time for internal oversight. Now, if I can just take you back, because I think it would be instructive, Chairperson. The year that we got the adverse opinion, there was literally 0 oversight from the internal audit or from the APC, our audit committee. So that was handed in on the 31st of August of 2022. I started work the next day. So that became my baby. So there was no oversight played there. We then improved on that oversight for the following financial year, hence the improved audit outcome. We did not deal with everything, that the AG said, but it was an improved one. And what happened towards the end of this, the 24-25 financial year, we had engagements with our internal audit, because the internal audit firstly looked at our AFS, then we had engagements throughout August, throughout the month of August, with our APC and the internal audit, so that we could hand what we felt was a good set on the 30th of August of this year. So I thought I will just take you back so that you can see, the things that we have given attention to, and the correct statements of the AG when it came to the oversight and the lack of oversight, and that is what we then have improved upon. The National Treasury gives training also for the oversight committees. I think for the impact, we went to both COCTA and the National Treasury for training in respect of the role of COCTA, as well as the role of the Financial Disciplinary Board, so that if there are any overlaps, that they would understand what that would mean, etc. So that did happen, and that did give rise to much better oversight from both of those institutions, but for the past financial year. My colleague will deal with the consultants. What did we mean with the consequence management, that we want to get people that are higher quality staff? I think that was the term that was used. When we investigate these matters, then you would see that in a particular value chain, colleagues are not capable of managing processes. They can't see something through or identify what is the value chain that I must manage in order that I can sign off and take it further. And the next person asks the same question. What is the value chain? Was the value chain complied with? So when we recruit people, especially where I sit in, then we want to know those things. Explain to me what is a value chain of a process that will allow you to sign off. Who should have had oversight? Who gave guidance? Which legislation would you have followed? Which policy directives would you have followed? Because often those things were absent, and that is where the maladministration would then slip in, because somebody has just signed off and handed it over, and the following person never bothered, accepted the signature and said everything is fine. That is the problem. So recruiting individuals that understand that is for us important, and that is what we mean by that. We want good managers, we want experienced managers, but mostly we want ethical managers. That's what we mean by that. Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson. The last bit.
The real issue for us is that you're generating a huge revenue. By all standards of municipalities, you are not a poor municipality. How do you end up with people with inadequate skills profile when you knew you needed them, and then you have to get outsiders? When you got your own money, you could have hired anyone from the moon without a problem. So that's the question. The question is not whether we don't know what you use the consultants for. We know what you use them for. We don't agree you should have. What we are saying is that by the time you started using the consultant, you should have had your own internal capacity that made it unnecessary to employ. So if you understand that's our point of view, the explanation does not necessarily take us there. The issue is, it's a firm line where we are that says we cannot understand a metro council that fails to employ someone on the basis of a skill, but they're right at the center of the economic hub of the country. So if you wanted anybody, very few people will not want to come and move to live in Tshwane. There's enough money in the kitty, you can employ those people. So why did we get to go private? So we don't need a further explanation. We are saying, we're noting that at this point, you should be having a plan to get your own and get rid of the external consultant. That's the message. Before we proceed, there's been a little bit of a mixing of our wires now. So can I just ask you to clear a few issues? We're dealing with the issue of water leaks. Now, the member here just want us to repeat the numbers because we need to know where you remember I actually asked you the same question. So we just want to know where we are with the numbers. So give us that. And then, Mayor, you will come back to this issue that I asked the gentleman not to take forward in the way. What was your answer on the appointment of all these senior managers? What was your answer? We still have the MEC who's going to respond to that issue. But as members here, we mustn't have two things because too many things have now been said. We want to know the last issue. What was your answer? Okay, let's start with the water. Water and electricity leaks.
Sure.
Percentages.
Okay, Chair, let me explain the confusion. I spoke about two factors on water losses. The first one, I spoke about over-abstraction in Region 1. If I may simplify it, Rand Water gives us license requirements and volumes of water that we should abstract from their system. Ordinarily, we should not exceed the percentage that they've given to us. Now, I made reference to Region 1 that has huge losses at 39%, exacerbated by over-abstraction or also resulting...
Sorry, 39%?
39, yes, Chair.
Region 1.
Region 1. Then over and above that, Region 1 also contributes to over-abstraction above the license requirement by 46%.
So you're apologizing for confusing us?
No, I didn't. But maybe I did not explain quite explicitly. I apologize.
Let's go for the electricity.
No, electricity, I don't think there was a confusion, but I said the total losses, it's 17%. But it is acceptable that anything between 10% would be distribution losses, which is as a result of the network, and we don't have control. Which means that now our target, we must make sure that we are below 10%.
Yes, but don't say it's acceptable. AG said it's 10% and we can't now accept something more.
Exactly, Chair, you are 100% correct. Hence I'm saying that we need to focus on that extra 7% that we're losing and make sure that we bring it below 10%.
Okay, it sounded like you want it's acceptable to have 17% loss.
No, it's not. Never, Chair. 10% we can explain, but anything above we really need to deal with.
You see, I wasn't the only one who had you that way. All right.
Apologies.
So that's fine. 17% is what your losses are.
Yes.
The average acceptable is 10.
Yes.
So we have to move from 17 to 10.
Exactly.
So we're now together.
That's our
Now,
intention.
The 39% was
water losses,
yes,
which is highly unacceptable as well.
Okay, that's fine. Now, let's deal with the next question.
Thank you, Chair. So let me just reiterate in terms of the story with regard to the irregular appointments. So in February 2025, we appointed what is commonly known deputy city manager, even though we use a different title, Section 56 manager. Once we got the council resolution, we wrote to the MEC with all the relevant documentation to say this is the council resolution with regard to the appointment. In May, we appointed a governance and support officer, which is another deputy city manager. While we were doing this process, there was a letter that came from the Minister of Kokta to Ekurhuleni, alerting the municipality about the irregular composition of the panel, to a point where when we were processing the GSO process, we started with 2 councillors, but we ended up with 1 on the panel because of that letter that was circulating. On the 2nd of June, the MEC responded to us and say, I've got your report on the appointment of the management support officer. I want to tell you that this is an irregular appointment because in your composition you've got 2 councillors. So yes, 2 councillors. If you don't withdraw, in fact, you must withdraw the resolution. Failure to do so, I will obviously take necessary steps. I then wrote to the MEC where I said, yes, we agree in terms of the regulations, there were 2 councillors. However, this is the trend that has been happening in Tshwane and all these other Section 56 managers. That's the first one. The second one was then to say, the legislation says you must also tell us within 30 days, or 14 days, my apologies, of receiving our correspondence. And Kokta has not come back to us within the prescribed time frame. That was what was contained in the letter that we referred back, or I sent to the MEC. Subsequent to that, we then said, no, but let's also check the city manager's composition, only to find it's the same trend, where it was never 1 councillor that was part of the panel. After we escalated, we went to meet with the MEC because he also wanted to ask certain questions from us, which some of them you are alluding to. Was there an investigation? And we met with the MEC. The resolution of that meeting with the MEC was that he will then confer with National Kokta and then will come back to guide us. So that's where it is, because we believe that it's going to be resolved through the IGR in terms of the legislation and the guidance of Kokta. How do we manage it? Obviously the irregularities that were identified. So that's the story of the irregular appointments, Chair.
So was there a report anyway?
No, there was no report other than the letter that came from the MEC, and we responded to the MEC. The letter.
Okay. You make a note of it. Let me see at some point you want to just deal with it. Because we still want the report. Okay. Can you take the...
Sorry, Chair, I think the question of the salary percentage was not answered.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, for the 25-24 financial year, the total employee-related cost bill is 11.6 billion, which constitutes 26% of total expenditure. And then for the 2025 financial year, it's 12.1 billion, constituting 25% of total expenditure.
There's one I think we skipped. Please give us, just redo the question, please.
Okay, Chair. I think they forgot to respond on the question that was involved the payroll fraud by an imposter, bribery by the revenue collection employee, and that one of Tshwane Metropolis Department in regards to a tender irregulation, and so many forensic probes. Please elaborate on those two.
Chair, the payroll matter was in fact a material irregularity. And I think to make a long story short, I can make that report available to the committee because we have dealt with that one. I think there was about 53 million, but I don't have the report in front of me, and I certainly do not want to mislead anyone. So that particular report can be made available to you, as well as the other one that you have referred to. We have it on record. It can come to you. Chairperson, with your permission.
Okay, that's fine. Let's take the next questions.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to know what percentage of your total budget do you spend on infrastructure maintenance? And then, I'm sorry, but I want to go back to Hammanskraal, because we do need additional info, as this is such a long-standing problem. Back at the end of 2023, a delegation of the NCOP, of which I was part of, got exactly the same answers and explanations that we've got today. And the public out there, and specifically the residents who is dealing with this problem, and we sitting in this committee, still don't know what are the core reasons for the delay. Is it a lack of infrastructure, old infrastructure, technical, whatever? Because nobody knows. It's always just saying a promise and a date. There is an opinion that the situation will not be solved, no matter how many stopgates you put in, like Klipdrift, water treatment plant, or water tankers, as the real solution would be to refurbish the Rooiwal water treatment plant, because it cannot clean the sewage to a satisfactory point or level, and therefore you won't have clean water. So what I ask is, can you please give us the core problem for the delay, and what are you going to do to fix it, and by when will it be resolved? And then the last question, sir, Chair. And in 2024, the city initiated a process to blacklist Blackheat Consulting and its joint venture, the company that belonged to Edwin Sodi. Blackheat was awarded a tender for the first phase of the upgrade of Rooiwal wastewater treatment plant, but a forensic report found that the JV lacked the construction industry grading to do the job. Currently, 5 senior officials have been suspended and are in the Labour Court. What is the hold up with the blacklisting process? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I want to just quickly circle back to what is going on with the regular appointments. And it's become very clear that the ANC and the EFF attacked the validity of Mr. Johanna Metler, who is the city manager at the moment, and his appointment in 2022. There's no legal basis for this. Their attacks on Metler has undermined his authority. I wanted to find out, Mayor, from you what your position is, because you've been very quiet. You've been given us technical sort of answers, but I want to know what your position on this is. And then on...
Sorry, just repeat the question.
So, at the moment, there's the irregular or supposed irregular appointments of some managers, and then they wanted to sort of bench it to the city manager to see whatever. But it's been very clear that the EFF and the ANC itself has been wanting to get rid of Mr. Metler. It's in the media, there's reports, we can share it with you. But the mayor has been very quiet on that specifically, and I wanted her opinion, what she wanted, because she's been giving technical responses, and I want to get her opinion on this. Then on the
repayment of irregular salary payments to senior officials. The mayor recently agreed to pay 270,000 rand received as an irregular payment. She's one of the 78 received such a payment in 2019-20. The payments were recouped from 62 of the officials, and an additional 4 have concluded repayment agreements. The Mayor Moya was one of the holdouts. What is the size of her agreed monthly repayment, and has she actually signed an agreement? Thank you, Chair.
Can I continue? Thank you for the opportunity, Chair. Chair, my questions are, like my colleagues, precise, concise, to the point. Okay? So that way we expect to get to the point, comprehensive answers. The first one is I'd like to understand, is the municipality still billing for the cleansing levy based on what the court had pronounced? If yes, perhaps you would explain why. Then I'd like to understand, are there any current lifestyle audits that are transpiring within your office, Mayor, and across the other departmental heads' offices? Are there any lifestyle audits transpiring? Okay, you got it? Then I'd also like to understand, based on that question, if there are any forensic investigations that are currently taking place in the municipality, and how do you envisage a timeline based on those, if there are any? And then finally, Chairperson, I'd like to understand from you, City Manager, together with Mayor, when last did the municipality conduct an audit on ghost employees? If there are, please tell us and inform us, and if there are not taking place, then also, can you just put the cards on the table? Chair, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just two reasonably simple questions. One is, do you have any councillors that actually owe rates and taxes to the municipality? And if so, what are you doing to get that back? And if there are, how much are you owed by councillors' outstanding debt? And then the second one was, I know we've spoken a little bit about unauthorized and irregular expenditure, and I think it was mentioned that you were getting a handle on about 2 or 3 billion rands worth of it. But if I look at the progress over the last, since 2019, 2020, where it was sitting at 6.5 billion, which in itself is a huge amount of money, and it's ballooned to 15.4 billion in this last financial year. That is stunning, actually. It's huge, a huge amount. And I was just wondering, and I know that you said that you've actually got a handle on about 2.5 billion, but that does leave a very large amount over. So I was just wondering what has been done to try and regularize the situation there. Thank you.
No, that's fine. Let's hold. We'll deal with these. Please respond to these questions. Now, let me just put this right. Mayor, I will take your comments. I'm a little uncomfortable with the angle of the question, Honorable Fonse. If the issue is based on the ANC, the EFF, as matters of party tensions within that municipality, I think the mayor must confine herself to issues that relate to any issue that involves an administrative matter that is within her jurisdiction. So if that is what you're asking for, that is fine. I also don't want her to start straying into making comments on political party lines that will make these members start responding. So you're referring to the issue from the point of view of what's reported in the media. That is correct. If it's alleged that it's the ENC, it's the EFF that are doing that, is correct. It's reference to the issue. But my point is, I'm giving her leeway to explain the issue so far as there might be issues that relate to undermining the manager as a mayor, but up to that level, so she doesn't stray into getting us into party politicking. So that's fine. Yes?
Thank you, Chairperson. No, it's political leadership. She's the executive mayor of this institution, and she's in a coalition. I would like to know, because this causes instability or stability, and I'd like to know what her opinion is, because she is a minority party in this whole issue. So I'd like to know her opinion, because it's about the political leadership and the stability, and it's on the council, on the effectiveness of the council. Thank you, Chair.
There's a thin line. There's a thin line. That's why I'm saying she's a political leader. She can explain, but I wouldn't like her to be pushed onto an uncomfortable line. I don't disagree with the fact that there are political parties involved, and that's the allegation that's in the media. She must see how she deals with it. But if we have to get her to respond, we need her view in a way that she must then sustain. But I don't want her in a situation where she's going to be feeling put under pressure on the basis of party politicking. That's what I'm just wanting. I'm just wanting to put that as a rider. You will answer the question. You are the leader. You understand the issues. And I'm just saying to you, we'll be waiting to get the answer because we're interested. But I want to see if you are not straying to issues that really we shouldn't be getting dragged into. But if there are issues that you want us to be aware of, then of course you are by all means free to tell us.
Thank you, Chairperson and honorable members. I will start with the issue of Hammanskraal water. And just to re-explain the project, but also the long-term project on the issue of Hammanskraal water. So the decision was taken to find an interim solution to the issue of Hammanskraal water. This followed the visit by the president to Hammanskraal after the outbreak of the cholera. Budget was made available through the Department of Water and Sanitation. Now we're still talking on the short-term intervention. April 2024, the then Minister Senzo Mchunu launched the project. At the time of launching the project, there were 4 phases which were divided in terms of the areas. In terms of that schedule of building a package plant, the first module was supposed to be finished end of September, the second end of September 2024, February 2025, April 2025, June 2025. There was a delay in the first module. So also just to understand, the implementing agent is Machalis Water. The owner of the contract and the budget is Water and Sanitation. As the city of Tshwane, we are responsible for reticulation. The delays the first time, it was all technical, Honorable Member Laboskachni. It included issues like the rock that they encountered. They were supposed to start with module 1, and because they encountered a rock, they had to start with module 4. That was the first one. While we were monitoring that, there was a fire in Ekurhuleni that delayed the mechanical work that is done, electronic work that is done. It pushed it that we launched the project in January instead of September. Then the schedule had to be revised from what was supposed to be February 2024, it was supposed to be April. That April was further moved to June. And I don't want to render engineering opinions, but the responses that we get is either the technical or the scope of the project was big or not anticipated. And this is what I'm saying. These are the responses that we've been getting from Khalis Water as we have been monitoring the project. End of June, with the Minister of Water and Sanitation, we went to Hammanskraal and we said the commissioning of Module 2 is completed. What us as the city had to say, how long will it take to purify the water so that it's clean and drinkable? We then said it will take 2 to 3 weeks. Only to realize Khalis Water doesn't have the necessary volumes of water, because what was promised was delivery of 12.5 megaliters. When we were launching, the subsequent deadline was that on the 3rd of August, we will go back to commission the 3rd module, and the last module will be September. Where we are the past few weeks, honorable members, there's a lot of work that Khalis has been doing in Hammanskraal. The first one was to supply water through a bypass, Boss Plus line. And obviously that came with its own limitations because the capacity is not what the community of Hammanskraal were used to. And we only getting updates this morning where the residents themselves are saying the water is clean, and we saying please don't drink the water until we confirm. But COO will be able to then say what are the core infrastructure or technical reasons for the delay. But in terms of the reports that we've been engaging with, I can confirm there have been significant delays in terms of the Klipdrift package plant. It's something that all the leaders in all the different spheres are aware of, have been working with the Khalis in trying to resolve and trying to expedite. And it's not an issue of we have run out of budget. No, it's not issues like that. It's technical issues and infrastructure related issues. But in terms of, you are correct, the issue of Hammanskraal water will not be resolved by the package plant. That is supposed to be an interim intervention. And an intervention is the first of its kind in South Africa. So without making excuses about the complications of the project, but building a package plant of that size is the first of its kind in South Africa. Now we do have the refurbishments that are supposed to happen at the Rooiwal because that's where the solution lies. Phase 1A and Phase 1B that started is supposed to run through these 18 months, or is it 18 months? 36 months, sorry. The project is now, we've entered the last financial year with a budget allocated 450 million. The expenditure, the COO can update on the expenditure side. But Phase 1A, so Phase 1 is focusing on the quality, improving the effluent being discharged from the plant. You would understand that the issue of Hammanskraal water doesn't only affect Hammanskraal, but also the farmers in the Rooiwal community. So there's been a lot of concerns about, and we've worked very well with those farmers insofar as keeping them updated about the progress there. So the project was in 2 phases. Phase 1A, which largely included completing the work that was started by Blackhead. And that process was finished in February, Phase 1A. We then moved timelines. We were supposed to start 1B in September, but we were able to move it up to March 2025. We are on track in terms of Phase 1. And by June 2026, that project, the Phase 1, should be completed. And I must say, our fear on both projects was the issue of construction mafia or unrest. And I can confirm that these are 2 projects that after, I think the social facilitation was well handled, that we don't have those issues. Whenever we have issues, it's issues that are technical or infrastructure related. And also in terms of the budget, both projects, they haven't had issues where we run out of budget or we overspend. The 5 officials are still on suspension while we wait for Labour Court to give us the dates. There was an order that came from the bargaining council, but the accounting officer can just explain the decisions that were taken, but I can confirm that the 5 officials are still on suspension. In response to my opinion, I don't think my opinion matters. What matters is the legislation here. I wasn't quiet, it's just that I didn't say what people wanted me to say. What I did was once we were engaging the MEC, I released a statement because it was important that residents know whether to panic or not. And I said to the residents, this is the situation. There are media, because all political parties started communicating. I noted the media reports and the media interest. However, the issue has been escalated to the MEC. Because the arbiter on this matter is going to be COGTA, it's not my opinion. So I will confine myself to what COGTA will guide us in terms of the legislation. I didn't keep quiet, it's just that maybe I didn't say what people expected of me to say. The issue of the irregular salary increase, when you are asked about yourself, Chair, you incline to defend yourself, so I'll ask City Manager to just talk us through the issue of the 78 employees, and if necessary, I can talk about myself if that's still required, but I think it's best that he deals with that issue. Then the other issue that I want to cover, I think I will leave it here and then leave other colleagues. I think, Speaker, the issue of the councillors that are owing.
You done on your side? Okay. Then, are you comfortable that you've answered the question that was raised by the mayor, by the member in relation to the reference to media reports with ANC EFF?
Yes, I did respond, Chair.
Okay, just hold on. Are you comfortable? All right, we'll leave it then. Okay. We're not discussing EFF, Madam. We're discussing the mayor and the and the reports of the media. No, you can't be ready.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start by saying when we came in last October, there was a statement that was released that the Speaker is blocking the work of the Section 79 committees. And at that time, we didn't have even chairpersons of Section 79 as we were starting a new administration. So it was referred to us as blocking the work of Section 79. There was nothing like that. I just wanted to raise that. In the issue of councillors who are owing the municipality, this came to my attention in beginning of October, and the list of councillors were submitted to me, and I engaged with all councillors that I was informed about, and trying to help them, to advise them to make arrangement with the city, because if they don't do that, they'll be breaching the code of conduct. We agreed with the councillors that they must proceed to do arrangement, and we invited, because I wanted to make sure that they do it, we invited the Department of Finance to ensure that the councillors do make arrangements with the city, because we are not promoting councillors not to pay services. And indeed, arrangements were done. And unfortunately, some of the councillors, they didn't meet their agreements with the city. They were not paid. And then we received a letter from the public protector. We don't know how did she get the letter, but she did, telling us that what action are we taking to ensure that the councillors are paying the city. Then we engage again with the Department of Finance, with the councillors, with the political parties as well, to say what is the better solution to this. And the agreement came in and it says there must be a 10% that will be deducted from councillors, from their salaries, until they finish the money that they are owing the municipality. And some of the councillors, they said, no, 10% will be minimum. I want to go more. Some said, take 30% because I want to finish. And some say, take 50% because we want to finish. Then we said, but the law says, let's take 10% from you. But if you are committing yourselves to pay 50% because you know that 2026 is around the corner, you are not sure if you'll be a councillor by then. So those councillors who were owing the municipality, they've paid their account. I haven't received anything from Finance Department to say we've got councillors who are remaining, who are not paying, who are not paying their arrangement as they agreed. Let me be frankly, we had one councillor that was owing the municipality 1 million rands. And that also was addressed. As I'm saying, as I'm sitting here, I don't have yet a report from the Department of Finance to tell me about that councillor. But I will engage to get the information if there are new arrangements that the councillor has done or there is any action that was taken by the Department of Finance. Because for me, it was for me to be informed and look at the possibilities of the breach of code of conduct. So that was my engagement, that was the action that I took. As far as I know, all councillors, they've paid, because some of them, they came crying to say, hey, I thought 50% will be easier, but 50% is not easy, even 30% is not easy, but they still committed to pay. So all the report that I'm waiting for, it's on the councillor that is owing the 1 million rands. Thank you, Chair.
Proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, on the blacklisting of Blackhead and others, we started the process quite a while ago, but we ran into procedural issues.
Just give us a bit of background. The member understands it better than us. Give us a bit of a background so we can follow when you respond. With a company, Blackhead, there were two other companies that were part of the Rooiwal construction tender. They were the consultants. And then there were two other companies, JCS, and there was one other. Now, because there was a finding by the AG that there was no value here, that there was fraud perpetrated, and that which we had to then investigate. Because that project came to a standstill, so there was nothing going on, and the project was then cancelled. So clearly there had to be consequences with regards to the consultants
and contractors that were appointed. So part of that was that because they breached contract, they had to be blacklisted. In other words, that we report them to that we go through a process and then we report to the National Treasury that we have gone through a particular process of blacklisting, and here are the names of the 3 companies that must now be blacklisted, and they would then no longer be able to do business with the state. Chair, if there's enough background, then I can continue. So what happened then? We did not diligently follow all of these steps that had to be taken, and the National Treasury pointed these out to us. We have gone through that process again. And we have also learned from that, so there's now a standard operating procedure which will tell you step by step what exactly needs to be done, how many days, who must be notified, etc., how long do we have to wait. It's a fairly comprehensive process so that both sides of the story can be heard. Our main problem was that we could not find them. They were no longer at their registered addresses. We have now, and we have also consulted the National Treasury to say, please guide us. What are the seedings that you are looking at? What are the hoops that we have to go through, and what is it that we have to show to you? They took us through a process, and we have now submitted our case to our internal audit to say, you audit whether we complied before we submit again to National Treasury, because we can't make the same mistake twice. So that was the hold up. So there is no question of us not going to do it. We are doing it. And there are also other companies that we are also placing restrictions on, but that is something else with nothing to do with Blackhead. So I do expect very shortly to submit to the National Treasury the full package, asking them to blacklist those 3 companies. We can, a chairperson, perhaps as part of, I think, a national consequence, is that we can then give you feedback formally on the process, as well as the fact that we have now submitted, when we do. I do expect that to be soon. It's not a long story. So we can then we would then be able to make that available to you. Then, with regard to the payment of the executive mayor, or the repayment, I have received an offer of repayment. I am currently dealing with group finance to give me a full breakdown, so that the acknowledgement of debt that would be drawn up can be precise. So there's one outstanding issue that I would want them to give to me, so that I can finalize this matter. I intend to finalize this matter. I was hoping to finalize it by tomorrow, but certainly there's nothing that's going to stop me. I think based on today's proceedings, I will make sure that I get whatever is outstanding from Group Human Capital by tomorrow, so that I can respond to the offer that was made. So it is very much in process, Chairperson. If I can leave it at that. Then the cleansing levy. Chairperson, as you would know, there was a court case brought against the imposition of the cleansing levy. We have noted an appeal to the judge that made the order. The judge turned that down. He said we did not make it a good enough case for.
Just remind me, what's this cleansing levy? What was this about?
Okay. Chairperson, we have put in our budget a charge linked to a refuse removal. And that charge is an additional charge. It was referred to as a cleansing levy. So it will deal with the amount or the charges payable by individuals who have contracted out of the city to come and collect their waste, their refuse. So it was that group of people. I can go quickly into the reason because you've asked the question. Can I continue?
Yeah, please do, because I don't think we've heard of it until you started doing it this side.
Okay. Yes, Chair, there are also other municipalities that will also be in court on the same matter, but that's another matter. No. So what we have said was that there's a complete value chain in respect of keeping the city clean. Part of the value chain is the rubbish that we collect at your house. That's part of it, but that's not all of it. We also keep the city generally clean. In other words, we collect, we sweep the roads, the parks, we clean out. So all of the common areas where nobody pays, we also clean that. That's part of refuse collection. We then also manage and maintain the landfill sites. That is part of the value chain. We have equipment, etc., that must be maintained. That is part of the value chain. Now, our argument is just because somebody opts to step out of the value chain as far as the rubbish at their business or at their residence is concerned, does not mean the rest of the value chain does not work to the advantage of that very same person. Because we do not leave their bit of rubbish along the road because they opted out. That is the logic behind it.
So when somebody opts out, they then do not pay to the municipality. How do you know who's out, who's not? Everyone just gets charged the same thing. What is the difference here?
No, we have a list of people who have opted out. The chairperson,
they top it up.
That opt out of the service.
Okay, but when you charge people, you separate that this is for refuse, this is for water, this is. Okay, that's fine.
That is correct. That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And what the normal people would pay is for the entire value chain. Anyway, so we have, in fact, just tomorrow we are engaging again with with council to evaluate whether we should appeal further. That's tomorrow. Of course, we act on advice. We do not take this matter lightly. It's a very serious matter. So we'll have that engagement and then we'll see what to do. But we have a time period, and I want to...
No, I want to stop you. Honourable Member, let me just check, Fancy. This explanation, has it covered your area of interest? Because I can see the MM is quite passionate, so it's going to take us very far. But I want to know, I want your level of saturation and satisfaction. Are we done? He can pass.
Okay,
Please
thank
pass.
You. Thank you very much. But I'm quite willing to chat with you afterwards. Then, the issue around the lifestyle audits. Lifestyle audits are currently being done, but they are not by us. They are as a result of the Rooiwal case. There are a number of lifestyle audits that the SIU is engaging in. Of course, we will also pay for it because that's how the SIU works. They investigate and you pay. So that's the one thing that is happening. We have also worked into our HR policy, the right that we have as administration to launch lifestyle audits. And when there is a reason for us to do that, we will do that. It is fairly expensive, so it's not something that we will do lightly. But there are currently such lifestyle audits on the go. I can just mention here that for those that we employ, like myself, the Section 56s, the group heads, all of the senior managers, they go through a vetting process. I went through a vetting process, a top secret one. So I was also lifestyle audited, because that's basically what it means if you go through a top secret vetting process.
Okay, can you just hold on now? Can I just get back to the members? Any questions unanswered? Labuskachne? Yeah, me and you with Rooiwal, we really get quite worked up. But are you covered with the reasons the mayor put? That's fine. And other members? All right. We're doing the last batch. We're doing the last batch.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity. Is there any, or let me say, what is the latest update from the SIU regarding the investigation on the Rooiwal wastewater treatment works under Proclamation R138 of 2023? I heard you, Honorable Executive Mayor, talking about 5 officials that are on suspension. I don't know whether is it on the same case or it's a different case. If it is on the same case, is their suspension prompted by a referral from the SIU, or is your own initiative as part of consequence management? My second and last question is with regards to your payment agreement, your signed payment agreement with ISCOM. Since you signed that particular agreement with ISCOM, have you managed to honor the agreement thus far by making sure that you make monthly payments? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. What's the outcome or progress on the CCTV project? Does the city have a functional disciplinary board? Why was the audit committee's terms of reference limited to only financial? And is there any plan to review that decision? And what are the reasons for non-implementation of the Treasury's consequence management and accountability framework? Thank you.
No, thank you. Chair, I'd like to discuss something with regards to the IGR. In terms of Chapter 3 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa and the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act number 13 of 2005, municipalities are required to participate in intergovernmental structures that promote coordination and alignment of planning, budgeting, and service delivery across spheres of government? Can the leadership of the city provide a report on the functionality of your intergovernmental relations structure, including whether the city has established a functional municipal intergovernmental forum, MIF, as contemplated in Section 24 of the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act, the frequency of meetings held in the past year, and evidence of decisions or outcomes from these forums that have resulted in improved coordination, funding alignment, and shared service delivery. Chair, given the city's fiscal challenges, how has the IGR forum, if you have one or not, but been used to escalate urgent financial concerns to provincial and national government for coordinated support or intervention? Chair, in light of the Premier's recent confirmation, and he spoke extensively this morning about intergovernmental relations, in light of the recent confirmation that province has a real-time system to monitor land invasions and your earlier submissions regarding illegal occupation of informal settlements, including by undocumented foreign nationals, can the leadership of the Metro explain how the City of Tshwane is collaborating with the Gauteng provincial government through intergovernmental mechanisms to respond to land invasions and illegal occupation of municipal and state land? Whether the city is integrated into the provincial land invasion tracking system mentioned by the Premier, and if so, what role does the Metro play in enforcement, intelligence sharing, and response? What specific joint operations, if any, have taken place in the past 12 months to address illegal land occupation, and what have been the outcomes? The last question was with regards to your collaboration, and that is the Premier of Gauteng has recently launched and operationalized several anti-crime task teams in collaboration with local municipalities, SAPs, and other stakeholders. These task teams are intended to address urban crime, cable theft, extortion syndicates, illegal mining, and related offences. Can the leadership of the city confirm whether the Metro is a member of any of the Gauteng Premier's anti-crime task teams? If yes, which specific teams does the Metro participate in? Illegal mining, land invasion, extortion, or at construction sites? And what role does the city play in these teams? Operational, intelligence gathering, intelligence sharing, logistical support, and what tangible results have been achieved through this collaboration, particularly in high crime zones in Tshwane? Thank you.
Please respond.
Thank you so much, honorable members. Let me start with the Royval 5. I will answer it partially and then give to the city manager. So what prompted the process was a motion that was submitted to council to investigate what has happened in Royval. This was in 2022, after the previous contractor had basically abandoned the project and left site. The motion didn't carry in council, but with a commitment that the investigation will be done anyway. The investigation was done, recommending a disciplinary process for those 5 employees. So that's what prompted it. But in terms of then what happened in the disciplinary process, I want the accounting officer to take that part. And then the issue of ESCOM, yes, honorable member, it's one of the key priorities for us to keep within the court order, because whatever we agreed with ESCOM, we made it an order of the court. So in terms of the court order, there are specific amounts per month, how much we're supposed to pay. And we have been keeping to that. We got in the court order, we had a holiday during winter season, but the monies that have been due, they've all been paid. Obviously, the court order came with conditions that if we will be able to freeze the interest for as long as we pay within the current account, and I can confirm that we are within the current account. In terms of our budgeting, there's no risk that we're going to lapse in terms of the agreement, and of course it's not in the interest of the city not to honor the payment. I think the issue of FDB, Honorable Member, I raised it when I was initially, when I started presenting, that FDB was established in 2019. There has never been a report that went to council. So last year, when we met the chairpersons of the independent committees, meaning FDB, APC, and the Risk Management Committee, one of the issues that was raised by the FDB chair was that I was appointed in January 2024, but I've never been given a case load or case register. We then corrected that, I think in December. In December, we handed over the information where there was over 1,700 cases that were handed over to the FDB. They've been working through that process. On the 7th of August, in my one-on-one with the chairperson of the FDB, they've confirmed that they've gotten to a point where they've got 129 cases that are suspicious or suspected financial misconduct that will be processed to come to council for consideration and approval. As I said, FDB is not where it's supposed to be, but there was a time where the administrative issues, whether the quality of the investigation report became an issue that we could not push beyond how we were pushing the chair. But now I'm comfortable that we can start taking reports to council after all these years. The issue of the audit committee, Honorable Member, I can confirm, because this is one of the support that I provide, and also just having a good relationship with these chairpersons. The APC as a committee, they actually have the entire scope. Even the way that they are structured in the quarterly work or reports that they consider, it covers the entire scope, so there is no issue in terms of that. At least I can say there's no issue now in terms of the powers or the mandate of the APC. In fact, APC is one of those committees that guide us as council. The APC chair comes to present at MECO and goes to present at council as well when it's time for the presentations. In terms of IGR, Honorable Member, I think one of the commitments that we have given to province as well as national was that City of Tshwane will fully participate in all the IGR structures. I can confirm that our MMCs, they are in touch with not only the MECs, but also with ministers in their portfolios. We are part of all the IGR structures in the province, and there is technical IGRs that are managed through our city strategies division. In fact, we receive a quarterly report in terms of how we are performing in those structures, but also the effectiveness of those structures. In Gauteng, it's slightly different from our interactions with national. Gauteng, I believe we are more coordinated in a sense that for us as mayors, we are under the MEC COCTA, and we meet, if not weekly, every other week if it gets postponed. And the issues that we normally raise are issues of, the performance, the budget, and the high-level strategic directions of the municipalities, and general support that we require on strategic matters like big litigations on tariffs and stuff like that. So we do that. We do have the Premier's Coordination Forum that sits quarterly. And then all the other portfolios, they sit. But also we do participate in all the SALGA forums as well. And whenever we are called by a national or portfolio committee, we do attend to those. But when it comes to then the issue of effectiveness of IGR, in Gauteng, our focus is on two main issues: the G13 matters, where from SOBA we had to say as City of Tshwane, what is our contribution to that? We have started, I think for 2 months now, we have started meeting every Tuesday where we report on service delivery issues. And there is escalations that obviously through the service delivery platforms of province that will be referred to the municipality. The other one, which is quite a significant one, firstly, in October, we signed a cooperative agreement with the Minister of Police with the 3 metros. I don't know if only in Gauteng or in metros in other cities, in other provinces as well. But basically that cooperative agreement was saying between ourselves as metro police as well as SEPs and community safety, we need to club our resources together to fight crime. That was the first agreement we signed as the city in October. A few months down the line, we then had the MOUs that we signed with the province where we said we're going to participate in the security cluster efforts. So we, in fact, in terms of our role as the City of Tshwane, our own Chief of Police, Commissioner Ferro, is actually the coordinator of all other municipalities and our MMC. So we're playing quite a leading role. We've been to all the municipalities in the province. We as Tshwane were the last province to have a coordinated security cluster intervention where all municipalities brought their resources. We went to Soshanguve in the case of City of Tshwane. So I can confirm that we are part of all the efforts that we're working on. We worked together on the G20 preparation, on the U20 preparation that's happening next week. And, but also in terms of our coordination with National Treasury, I think it's quite important because in addition to just have...
we round up IGR, I think you've dealt with it.
Okay, no, that's fine then, thank you.
Okay, Chair, I'll be very quick. On the Rooival, we call them the Rooival 5. The review started today in the Labour Court. And there would be further hearings scheduled for the 24th and the 25th of September. So that court will then decide on whether they will continue to be, or whether the city has a case in asking for harsher penalties on them. And then, yeah, I think then it's only the CCTV project. I'm not sure whether anybody has information on the CCTV project. If no one has, we can get back to you in writing on that particular one, a chairperson. But I think then the mayor has then dealt with the rest of the things. Thank you very much.
Do you think you can convince us nobody knows about the CCTV? It looks like you've become too careful. I can see that.
I didn't want to assume what the honorable member meant by CCTV because we do have a forensic investigation on the CCTV that was proclaimed by the SIU. Oh, that's the one. Yes. So we can then get back to in terms of where we are now. But there was a CCTV contract a few years ago, even before 2019, that was investigated, but it was also terminated. So we can provide specific responses, Honorable Member, with your permission, in terms of what happened to that SIU proclamation, because I know that there was progress last year, but with your permission, we can submit it in writing, please.
Okay. No, that's fine. That ends it.
Well,
no, you didn't want to respond.
No,
I just want us to have a closure of how this matter will be dealt with.
Chair, but there is a question that is not answered on SIU.
There's a question not answered. All right, that's
Yeah.
fine. I don't want you to go back to this because we're going to get a report. That's fine. Yeah, let's deal with the outstanding question.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. So on the CCTV question and the investigation,
the
Rooival on SIU.
No. CCTV issue, The mayor said he didn't want to assume things.
No.
So we will not go into that. There was a blank space when we asked about it. We need a report, written report. We don't refer to that. There's an outstanding question. Let's talk about that. Don't go to CCTV.
Thank you.
Okay?
So the SIU proclamation question is we had a meeting with the SIU chair whereby they briefed us on two cases, the Royval and the CCTV. On the Royval, they then advised us that the investigation is expected to be concluded in 2025 November, and that the CCTV, we should expect it next year in 2026. They did not have a specific month. So that is just my addition to that, because the gentleman did ask in terms of what is the latest on the proclamation of the SIU. Thank you very much, Chair.
All right, let's leave it. That's fine. We'll still wait for the written report. Obviously, the Royval thing, we will obviously need a lot more information, so we'll come to that. Honorable members, we have come to the conclusion of our interaction. So I want to thank